But thanks you everybody for joining us this afternoon. As you know, a lot of you know, I am Sarah, and with me today I have Lindsay and Margie, and we are part of the um, PowerSchool support team. So this is our log entry power hour, and we use the term hour a little loosely. It is our mini training for log entry. Um, it might go a little bit over an hour depending on people's questions. This is an interactive training. If you have a question, stop us and ask that question, um, or put it in the chat. We're watching the chat as well. And so we will try to answer your questions as we see them. What this is not incident management. Right now, PowerSchool, as far as we're concerned, we use log entries because of the state reporting. So we will not really be talking about incident management, but what we will be talking about is briefly, as an overview, how to create a log entry, how to edit a log entry. But then we'll also be talking about some other things that maybe you didn't know about log entry. We hope that, we have a lot of veterans here, so we hope that everybody's going to learn something. Again, very informal. You guys who've been to our trainings before know how we act. We like to talk to you and give you some information, but we are not formal. Okay, so I am going to share my screen as soon as I can find that little link. We also are recording this, so say you had to leave early or you want to go back and review, this will be posted on our YouTube channel, but probably not till next week. But it will be available for you to see. Okay, so again, some review, because it's not all brand new information, but for review, I want to talk about documentation first. So as you know, and I'm assuming everybody can see my screen, I've got a little red box around it.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm assuming also, and Lindsay, maybe you can check, it says we were recording. I just want to make sure it really is.
Yes.
Okay.
It says, yep, we've got live and recording.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So meta documentation and just PowerSchool documentation, just as a review for those who may not know this, you're going to go up to the question mark on your navigation bar once you're in PowerSchool. Let's talk about meta documentation first. So I'm going to click on meta documentation, and I'm just going to come in here and I am going to search log E is good enough to give me, I think I have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I just do log, I'm going to get stuff that says catalog and logical. So that's why I did the little search with the log space E. And then, so these are some documents you'll see. The very first one, discipline. Well, actually, let's get to the second one. The second one, discipline explanation. That really is your state reporting, how to report discipline to the state. We're also not talking about EMIS today, and we're not talking about state reporting from log entries. We kind of let EMIS handle that. Then one that says discipline log entries, search and reports. That is really the kind of the overview that follows what we're doing here on this training. How to enter discipline, that is exactly what it says. How do I create a log entry? Log entry setup. if I click on that one, it would tell me there's some setup that needs to be done. And then if I go to the QRC PowerSchool document, this really is PowerSchool's, they call them QRCs, is PowerSchool's documentation on log entries. As you know, PowerSchool went to actually online help only. So this one may be around a little bit, but it's one that, kind of covers incident management and log entry. So I just wanted to go through what these were. And then you also see there's a link to our Meta YouTube channel. That's where you can click on the YouTube channel, go find our recordings. The other thing that I want to just mention briefly is if I go to System Help, that is PowerSchool's help. So remember that it's context sensitive. So from here, if I go to System Help and I want to know about log entries, I would type in log entry and I could get to it. I can look at the menu over on the left, or if I am, and hold on, I got to move this out of the way. Or if I am actually on log entries, so I'm just going to quick hop into this kid and go to his log entry. And now I go to the help. It's going to know that I am in log entries and it's going to go to that subject right away. So just different ways to look at the PowerSchool help. Sometimes it gives you a lot of really good information. Other times it gives you, okay, I want to know more, and you're not going to get it. So the combination of documentation between PowerSchool and Meta should give you what you need. Questions about documentation, either ours or PowerSchool's, or how you get to it? That really was kind of a review, so you probably already knew that. So if I don't see any questions or hear any, I am going to pop back over here and talk about, before we get started, log entry customizations. We have some, there are some from the Exchange. Log entries all by itself without these customizations are severely lacking. And so I'm assuming that you all have these customizations, except for one new one I may show you. I will show you. But I'm just going to run over here to the customization catalog. And I'm going to search for the category of log entries. And you will see that we have these four. These are not the external from the Exchange. These are ones that we created. So current selection, what that does, when you do a log entry search, and we will be showing you this, a log entry search, but when you click on submit, it brings up a log entry function screen. So what this current selection customization does, adds a line to that log entry function that says, make these kids my current selection. So you've searched for some kids who have a discipline log entry for a dress code violation, and you've found those kids. Now you can make those your current selection. The next one, log enhancements. All this one does is remove a couple of extra clicks. It's just so it flows easier for you. It also allows you to put in some future dates, which PowerSchool didn't allow you to do. So that was the log enhancements, log entry print. You'll see when we go to a student's log entry screen, at the end of each line is a little printer. That's the customization that adds that little printer and allows you to print a letter or some object report that you've got set up for that kid. And Power Teacher View Log Entry. There's an external customization I'm going to show you next called Log Entry Enhancements. Maybe we'll look at it. That allows you to set up which things your teachers can see. So a teacher can see their own logs. They can see logs if submitted. They can, if you don't use that customization, your teachers may not see all those things. But even if you do use that customization, they can't see their own unless you come to ours and turn on Power Teacher View Log Entry. That puts in that select screen dropdown a line item that they can do that. And during this training, we will go to a teacher and we'll look at that, and I'll point that out again. So that's one that you want to have turned on. Okay, external customizations. And I can go to community plugin. I can go to plugin configuration. That's where you see your external ones, the ones that come from the Exchange. This one's called Log Entry Management, and that's the one that puts those preferences for you to choose for your teachers. So you want to have that one on. The thing I wanted to point out about this one in Community Plugin, it says there's a new version. There is not. 24.6 is the most current version. Why it shows up this way sometimes is if the developer goes in and does something but doesn't publish it, it creates a new version on his end, but he hasn't pushed it out for us to see. We can skip it or we can just leave it and know that we are on the latest one. So that was called Log Entry Management, and we will look at those preferences when we get to it. The other one I wanted to tell you about is called Repeat Log Entries, Fixed New EUI. And there was one in the community called Repeat Submit Log Entry, something like that. But it didn't work with our state reporting very well. So that one was fixed and this one was created. So if you go to PowerSchool Exchange, or I believe it's on community plugins as well, you want to download this guy, Repeat Log Entries Fixed New UI. And then once you've downloaded it, there are an additional step, some instructions to make it work. If you don't know how to do that, you can put in a ticket and say, I've downloaded Repeat Log Entries, Fixed New UI. I need to make it show up in the menu. And we will help you with that. But what this one allows you to do, and again, I will show it to you, this one allows you to do some mass entry of log entries. That's kind of nice. Okay. Questions? Customizations? So, again, log entry is highly customized. And so let's talk about what a log entry is. It doesn't have to be just discipline. It can be a counselor. And we have an alert that will let you see if a kid has a counselor alert that you can get from your alert builder community if you don't already have it. It can be a parent contact. It can be a grade change. So it can be a whole lot of things. And then when you set it up for your teachers, you can say which of those things teachers are allowed to see. So log entry, again, doesn't have to be just discipline. So keep that in mind. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Margie. And actually, I'm going to turn my camera off. We'll turn it to Margie, who will, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Margie can share hers.
All right, it's my turn. Here we go. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to walk you through a couple of different setups in the log entry fields. And you would have to have district office access to change any of these, but I want to take those through so you can see what happens here. So down on the left-hand side, you would click your district management, and you would go to behavior. And I'm going to talk about both of them. So you'll see both of them, the log entry fields and the log types. So first, we're going to do the log entry fields. Some of the things you can do in here is like on the entry author, any of these that are blue hyperlinked, you can go in and change this field label and the field description on them, okay? That's just one of the things, and I think I just lost my page. Okay. And another thing that you can do in here, you can sort these in any order that you would like. You have the ability to show the teachers certain parts of the discipline area. That is your choice. You can turn them on or turn them off. And for instance, if you didn't want the discipline duration notes to show for the discipline area, all you would have to do is simply click on this and go up to the hide and hide it. And when you submitted, it's going to take it down to the bottom. So you see that's no longer in here. I'm going to bring it back up just because. You can sort these in any order your heart desires, like I said. But one nice thing about this entry author, if you didn't want this field to say author and you wanted it to say more like the reporting person, you could put reporting person in there and submit that. And now when you're on your discipline, you would see the person that's reporting it versus entry author. You have that ability to make those changes to your discretion per district. Any questions about that? I'm going to move on. One other thing that you can do within these, now you noticed if I click in this one, you don't have the ability to change your input type. Some of these are stagnant fields for a reason. They're not for you to go in and make those changes. But there are some, if you would do the discipline duration notes, you could change this from a pop-up menu to any of these. You could do radio buttons, pop-up menu, but keep in mind, as it says over here on the left, data for pop-up and radio buttons, you always want to start with this at the top of your list. And the reason being is you would go down through and you would type in your information down through here. And no matter what you did, if you did JDC, you have to put that semicolon in and then juvenile detention or juvenile court or whatever you wanted in there. Because without that semicolon, it's not going to show correctly on the other side when you get to your discipline area. And you would just simply submit that and that'll show in your discipline notes. And I'm kind of flying through, so if anybody needs me to stop, say, hey, and I will. Another thing on your log entry fields, and I'm sure everyone has this, are your consequences. There's a lot of times that they'll come in and say, I need a consequence added. This is where you would add that consequence. Again, if you notice, these are done by ISS, in-school suspension, JDC, juvenile court. You can also put them numerically. Here's the thing you have to remember. If you want them alphabetically, for them to find them alphabetically, you would need to move them in your list accordingly. Consequences, you can move. I'll show you. Discipline, you cannot. Okay? So is there Any questions about this? This is simple. It's not hard to do. It's a matter of what you want to see on your discipline page when you're getting ready to do the disciplines. Each district's probably preset, but there could be some additions or subtractions to this area at the beginning of the year, not in the middle. Questions? All right, I'm going to move on. The next part I'm going to talk about is the log types. So again, that's in your discipline management, your behavior, and your log types. As you can see here, you have several different log types you can use, and I know Sarah had mentioned that in the beginning. You do not have to use one log type. Some of these you just put them in so the counselor can go in and make notes of things for students so that they have that ability to see. And in the groups, you can put who can and can't see these log types. There are some districts that have private in their log types because they want that information to only be seen by the admin people and the people that have access to see that. One of the biggest ones is your discipline. Okay, oh wait, let me step back. If you wanted to do a new one, you just simply type in a new one that you want to label and submit. It can't be any more than 20 characters, so make sure you're paying attention to that because it will stop you. But discipline. I say this with great hesitance because I do know a district that did make changes and had to go in and change them when I was in a district. So when you're putting in your discipline numbers and your codes, these are nicely alphabetized here. It really looks good. I like it. But I want to show you a difference once I get over to the other side. This code right here is a dress code. And it's number 5. And let's say, oh, I wanted to move that up and put the dress code down below and the fighting. So I'm just going to switch their names. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this right now. So you'll see 2 fighting in there. Oh, if I spell it right. I'm going to submit that. So I do know that over on the discipline side, when I show you one of the letters, that it should have said dress code. I'll show you which one that is, and you'll be able to see that there's 2 fighting in there. This is huge because if you're a big district and you have lots of codes and you want to number these alphabetically, you need to make sure that you're changing that number to like an O2A or an O5A or a B, just so that they go in the correct order. Let me show you that, for instance. Let's say I wanted to do cutting class and I want to name it O2, just because. You notice if I put that in, it takes it above. It'll stay there, that's fine, but if you want them alphabetically, you need to go in and possibly put an O2A in there to make it move down below to the correct area. Again, if I would change this one to cutting class and this one, like when they were switched to computer violation, anything that had computer violation in any years past will now say cutting class. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's crucial that you do not change these names. You want them alphabetically, change the number over here to put them in order. It's a big deal. Okay, questions about that? All right, I'm going to go in and, for one, show you that log entry that I changed, and then I'll change it back. I believe it was this one. And originally, the 05 was dress code. And see, now it says fighting because I changed it to fighting because I wanted to change the order. That's why I say it's very crucial that you keep that number in there correctly. So I'm going to go back in right now and change that back to dress code. And then I will go back up and refresh this page. Oh, of course it doesn't like me. And so now when I go back to Sarah's, hers was number 5. Those are now in the correct order. Very, very crucial to not change those. Just thought I'd say it again. Questions about that? All right. I will go ahead and create a log entry for you. So I have Brandon, and I just want to click the new right under Edit Discipline Alert. And the way this is set up, there are certain specific fields for each district that you have to put in. Notice where I changed that. It used to say author. Now it says reporting person. It has the person that starts the discipline. And on the log type, you should see any of the log types that we had in that list. And I'm just going to make it a discipline. And my counselor is going to be Lindsay Kelly. And then my subtype is the list of the codes that we just went through. And we'll say this one is vandalism. You can use other subtypes if you have them in there. Some districts only have the top one.
And
Your
that
title,
is,
go ahead.
Margie, that is one that is an example of we repurposed other fields and called
Okay.
it subtype 2 and subtype 3 because we actually had a district who asked for that. So we showed them how to repurpose those fields. However, when you do that and you go back to your main grid, it's only going to show you that first subtype. It's not going to show you you've got vandalism and smoking and fighting, whatever. It's only going to show you the first one.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Thank you. So if you wanted to do these other ones, again, they're the same information, but like Sarah just said, it's only going to show you the top one. You can title it if you want a title in there. Every district doesn't. I do know that on the log entries, you want to make sure you put in the information of that student if you're doing a single log entry. So I would put like Brandon was painting pictures in the bathroom. And then if you had an internal log note, some districts have this open, some districts don't, you could put that information in, and then your consequence would be in-school suspension for that day. And we'll say that this was yesterday because we just got the information. Action date cannot be, before, there we go. So we'll say it's today, thank you very much, because I didn't change that date up there. And you can have the action taken end date, that it's going to end tomorrow, and then you can submit. Yes, there is date information, but I don't have to worry about that today. So now you see that that is in there. Short, sweet, and simple. Yes, you can go in and make tweaks to those if you need to. Questions on how to build a log entry? All right. If we don't have any, I know that Sarah and I, oh, you already showed them the plugins. Yay.
Yeah.
So now go ahead.
So after you show them how to edit or delete, and I will do the mass entry one.
Perfect. Okay. So if you didn't want that discipline in here, you wanted to go in and make any tweaks to it, you could go in here and type anything you wanted and just simply resubmit and it would change it. Or if you no longer needed that discipline and said, oh, I put it on the wrong kid, it's simply easy to delete and confirm delete, and voila, it is gone.
Hey, Margie, we have a question in the chat from
Sure.
Rhonda. She's asking, is the action taken date the first date of the consequence? Rhonda, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask live. So, for example, if it was 3 days out of school suspension starting on April the 1st through April the 3rd, but it occurred on March 31st.
I believe that in a district that I was in the past, it was the date that it occurred. And then they would put the duration of time or days at the bottom so that they knew the number of days. I don't know that this one shows the duration.
But, and there are other fields you can add.
Mhm.
Like some people have incident date on there, and some people have, I think consequence might even have a day. I'm not sure. There
There's
might
these
be.
action date taken. There's several in here that you can pick from and unhide. We have several hidden
Yeah.
on this, but all of these, like duration assigned, is one that I know districts use, and it just says the number of days basically as the duration assigned. There, all you have to do is unhide these on the district side, and it will appear. Does that help, Rhonda?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you. I will do that.
All right, great.
and you know, some people think the action date is the date that I met with them and I said I'm going to suspend them. Well, that's different than the actual first day of suspension or whatever. So you have to kind of look through those fields and see what fits. We have hidden, as Margie said, a lot of stuff just because when you look at it and they're all in hidden, it's overwhelming to look at that
It
and you're like,
is.
and you don't know which to use.
Right. That's quite a list, actually, that you could hit and miss from. Okay.
Okay,
I
great.
will turn it back over to you, Sarah.
Okay, so I will come back here and share my screen. So, so now you know how to add a log entry, how to edit a log entry, how to delete a log entry if you needed to. And I am sorry, I'm taking a minute to find I have so many windows open to find where I'm sharing. Here we go. Okay, so Margie's shown you for an individual. How do you do that? How do you add that? If you had installed this plugin that we talked about, and this one, repeat log entries, fix new EUI, and followed these steps, you will see if I go to people, students, over under student administration, I have mass enter log entries. And I have 3 kids selected. I could have had 10 kids. I could have had everybody in the junior class is getting a counselor or a grade change or whatever. But these are my 3 kids I picked. Actually, I'll just let me even just start from the beginning and show you that. I'm just going to select my hand. I'm going to come down here and pick 4 kids here. Update my selection. And now I'm going to go to people, student, mass interlog entries. Now you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not doing that. I'm coming up to my search bar and I am typing in mass entries because I use the search bar for like everything. But it's showing me that I have 4 students selected. It's putting in today's date and time. If you need to change that, you change that. And I'm the reporting person. The log type is, I can do any kind of log type I want. So for instance, I'm just going to I'll do a discipline one, but this is where I could have done a counselor alert. If I'm doing discipline, I'm probably not putting the counselor name in, But if I am doing a counselor alert, yes, I want to put the counselor name in. Subtype, I'm going to say these kids were cutting glass. And they were also smoking. I am giving it a title, and I'm going to say cutting glass or and smoking. This is where I put in my description. Cut all three in the parking lot. Internal note, there's nothing here I want to say that I want to be a private note. Consequence is I'm going to give them detention. It's their first offense. Maybe I'll say that first offense. And so this is the same log entry that you did for an individual. I'm just saying I want the same thing for all 4 of my students. My action taken, again, it's detention, and I don't have to put anything else in here. I clicked on start the process, and then I get this results table. And usually when I do this, it says 4 right away. And it did. 4 were saved. There were no errors. I'm going to say show the results. And there are my 4 kids that got this log entry. Now I can go click on one of these kids. And I can see there is his log entry. And I've done 4 kids instead of having to do them one at a time. So that's why that's a really nice plugin. Okay, questions about that? Okay, so that is mass entries, mass log entries. So next we're going to talk about teachers. How do teachers enter a log entry, and how can we allow them to do that, and what did they see? So I told you that was an external plugin, log entry management. If I come up here and search, and I can also go to wherever that is, I think it's in school management. I'm going to say log entry management. And this is at the school level. Log entry management configuration. I could have gone to my school management menu and got to it there, but again, I'm lazy. I like to search. So log entry management, this is where I configure what my teachers see. And if you don't have this, you don't have these settings, that means you don't have that plugin enabled. You can go to your plugin configuration, see if it's installed. And if it is, you just want to enable it, but you want to make sure that you're enabling the one that says EUI. There's probably 2. You want the EUI one. So what is this telling me? What do I need to do here? First of all, and I'm going to uncheck all of these as we go through. Do you want your teachers to view their log entries, their own log entries? Well, yeah, I do. Do I want the teacher to edit his or her own log entries? Here's the trick. As long as an admin has not changed it. So I can say a teacher can enter a log entry or edit a log entry they've created, but once it's been touched on the admin side, teacher can no longer update that log entry because now the admin, that's where he's put in. Maybe he gave him a suspension or a detention or did something. The teacher does not have any control over that. But do I want him to be able to edit it? Sure. For how long? And I don't have to check that. If I don't check it, he can edit it until the admin touches it. If I say edit for a limited time, for instance, I'm going to give him 24 hours. After 24 hours, he can no longer edit it. Do I want this teacher to see others' entries in the log entry list? So I gave a kid a log entry, Margie gave a kid a log entry, Lindsay gave it. Do I want to be able to see anybody's log entries for that kid, my kid? I'm going to say yes. Do I want to view only others with the same type as they are allowed to create? So, for instance, if I say teachers could only do discipline, can they only see others' disciplines? Or do I want to say I want to limit what they can see? So they can see activities, attendance, counselor, grade change, but I don't want them to see discipline. Those are choices that you can make. And then what happens to those once the teacher creates it? So if it's a discipline alert, who gets the email? That could be your assistant principal. That could be if you have a discipline officer. Who gets, if it's a conference or if it's a counselor, what's the counselor's email? They get it in an email. They see that there is an entry, and then they go to log entry and put in the information that they need. So questions about this log entry management configuration screen? If not, I am going to flip over here to a teacher. I have signed in as this teacher. And here's my current classes. I want to go to this class. Over under the student information card, remember that used to be the backpack. I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to look at, here's my kid. Let's look at Elizabeth Garcia. Over in my select screens, I can come down to submit a log entry. I'm going to make, we'll make a discipline alert for Elizabeth. And I'm just going to say disruption, yelled during class repeatedly. And my description is she would not stop yelling, even when asked politely. I'm going to submit that. Gives me the log entry screen. And you can see that these are the log entries for this student because I said I could, as the teacher, see others' log entries. I am seeing those, and these are from previous years. I am seeing this kid's log entries screen. I could have, instead of submit log entry, I could have come to log entries, and this log entries right here will take you to the same screen. I could have said new from here. It will take you to the very same screen, submit log entry and log entries. Same thing. Notice on here I have 2 dates, one with an asterisk. This is telling me the second date is the incident date that was different than the entry date. So entry date was one date and the second date was a different date. The other thing I see, because we turned on that customization, view submitted logs. Now I can see these are the logs that I submitted. I can also come here and say there's view submitted logs, there's submit log entries, and there's log entries. These are the things that the teachers see. Notice on this one, notice that these are all grayed out. This is blue. I can still edit this one because no admin has touched it. If somebody on the admin side went in and did something, I would no longer be able to click on that and edit it. Notice there is no action, consequence, whatever, because the teacher doesn't do that. The admin side does that. All the teacher does is say this happened and when it happened, and then it gets emailed to the admin side and they fill out that information. Questions about what the teacher sees, how a teacher does an entry, anything that we just talked about. And I don't see any questions, so I am going to talk about, well, also we did talk about log entries and how, if I go back to log entries, I can search for something here. Maybe this kid has counselors and discipline, but I only want to see the discipline, or I want to see a different kid. I can go to a different kid and look at that same information. So that's the teacher side of it. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to, I think, Lindsay, right? Lindsay, I will stop sharing.
See my screen okay?
Yes.
So as Margie was showing us earlier, that we can edit on the log entries. On the right hand side, we have the option after you've got your log entry submitted, then you can click on the printer icon. This will tell you you want your discipline letter. And all you have to do is submit this, which will take you to your report queue. Friendly reminder, you just want to right click on this and open it in a new tab. Otherwise, it will take over your current window. What we'll do here is just, I'm going to pull that separate. Can go through, see in our letter here, log entry page.
We can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
It's very, very quiet.
I'm sorry. I'll talk louder. Usually I'm too loud, so I get self-conscious about being too loud. So I apologize about that. So once we get our attendance letter pulled up, I'm sorry, not attendance, that's my normal day-to-day. Once we get our log entry letter pulled up, then you can go back and you can check on your discipline to see where it's actually pulling these fields to compare it from your entry to your letter. So you'll see where it's his parents and guardians, what the student was done, what they've done to earn the log entry, who reported this, and then what the actual details are. So you can see where he was fighting with another student and he was fighting with another student in the study hall. And then you can just print off this report and send it home. So you can print those off whenever you need to send these home for parents. Do you want me to go into? Oh, go
And
ahead.
let me add, these are your object report letters. So if you change fields and you're adding, say we added subtype 2 and 3, you have to use the actual field name of what it was, which you can see when you go into that log entry fields. But you control what shows up on your object reports. That's not something we do. That's something that you do. So if something doesn't look right on your letter, is not showing up, make sure that you've added all your fields in there that you need.
So next we'll go on to data and reporting. So at our school level, go to our reports. We can go to our system reports, down to our discipline log. And you can see we can check on if we just want our current student, or if we want to say from all students, and I'm going to say our first quarter. So I'm going to make an assumption of October 18th was our first quarter of school. I want to see how many log entries we had for our building. So I'm going to submit this and right click that to open in a new tab.
And while that's coming up, we do want to say this is also a training database. So some of the data in here is a little wonky. It's not real student data, it's fake data.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Although the food fight would be fun to see. So here's our results for that discipline log report, just to see what kind of entries we had for our first quarter. Also have data and enterprise reports, log entry reports. This is a really nice functional tool that you can use. If you drop down on this, you can see all of the different options that you have. If we want to just say, I want to look up my student name, last name is Adair. We know we've been using Brandon for our examples here, and you can see how easily we can just pull up what his different instances are. So that would be a really easy way too, if you need to print that off, or if you have a student number you want to look through, or if you want to just say that I want to see how many have happened in my 9th grade. Sorry, forgot to clear out Adair. And we can search by our grade levels to see how many log entries that we have for our grade levels. So that's a really handy report to go through and look that way. Sarah, do you have any other?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about enterprise reports because these are really powerful and you can make them look however you want, and you can do multiple reports. You can have the primary report but then have sub reports under it. You can hide columns. Um, you can highlight some things. So say Lindsay wanted to highlight everybody who didn't have a subtype or whatever. I mean, so if you don't use enterprise reports, do a little search on them because I think this would give you a lot of power.
And over here too, just another fact, we can set our current student selection. So you could choose that to take you back to the start page. So you'll have all of these students in 9th grade that have had a log entry. If we go back to our data and reporting, and then the last thing I will show you is the PSCB reports, and you'll click on your log entries down here. You can click on our summary, and you'll see in the drop down that, as Sarah said earlier, it's not always just discipline. It can be all different kind of other options. So we'll click on any student that has had a counselor log, and we're just going to go ahead and leave the date range as it is so we can see who's had it throughout the year. We'll submit. And here come our results. So we can copy these, we can export them as a CSV, a TSV, and you can just see all the kids who have had a counselor log type. So if you need to pull those students for any reason, or if you need to add a different counselor to them, you've already got your student selection.
And then you can also, where it says view, you can go to that kid's record. That will take you to that kid's record. It's a log entry detail. And then also, if you go back out to your start page on Brandon, and this was a request from one of our districts, so we made a counselor alert. So, Lindsay, it's the one, it's like red with a person in it. It's just to the left of the cross enrollment alert. It's like a red circle with a person in it. No, yep, that one. And what that will tell you when you click on it, he's got one counselor alert. We didn't put any data in there saying any personal data, but they wanted to know who had a counselor alert. So you can go to your alert builder community if you don't already have this and download it. And then don't forget when you do an alert builder that you want to when you download it and it becomes yours, you still have to check which pages you want it to show up on, student pages, teacher pages, whatever, to make it yours. So that's a nice little alert if you choose to use it.
Are there any questions about reports?
And then, so I think the only thing we have left is the log entry search from the start page. I think, were we doing it from the start page or from just from log entries?
Would you want to cover that, Sarah?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Let me share my screen again. Hang on a second. Oops, wrong database. Hang on a second. Again, got a lot of screens open here. Here we go. Give me a second, guys, so I find you guys so I can share it. Okay, so how do you search for log entries? I can just go here, entry, and I don't do the entry because it could be under entries or entry. Or I could go over to under search, student searches, search log entries. What do I want to search for? I want to search for a certain kind of log, counselor, or I could even do subtype if I wanted to. I'm just going to leave it on counselor. I can fill in any, is there text in here? Is it over a certain amount of days? And what's the grade level? Once I submit it, I get this log entry function screen. And this is where I can list them. It just gives you a list of the currently selected log records. So what does that look like? It's just a list that now I could come up and print. I also could click on one of these links and it would take me to that student's log entry. The other things I can do here, I can print a report, and this could be the discipline letter, or if you had other reports, other discipline reports set up, object reports, you would see them here. I can do a quick export of this data. So here's all my kids who have counselor alerts. Here are all my kids who have disruption, all my kids who've had out of school suspension during these dates. I can export those out. Or this is where I said I can make these kids my current selection. So I have 14 log records. I can say now that's my current selection. And there are my kids. 2 of those kids were not active. So that's why I have 12 instead of 14. So that's something else that you can do with searching your log entries to get, because people ask us all the time, okay, now I found these, but now what do I do? How can I get those? How can I get a list? How can I export those? That's an easy way to do it. So, questions? That is, and we are just about an hour, so that's pretty good. We tried to stay as close as we could.
We almost did it.
Almost did it, but still pretty close.
Agreed.
If you don't have questions, that's all we have for today, but we encourage you to go look at the documentation if you need it. We hope that you learned something. You know, even one thing is always a fun thing to learn something new.